Hi everyone, I'm Steph with Stitching with Steph. Thank you for clicking on my video today. If you're new here and you see any patterns here, this is 2 of the 4 that I have that you like, go ahead and click that like, subscribe, and comment where you're from button. And if you are a subscriber, welcome back and thank you for checking out my new video. Today we're going to go ahead and review 4 stamped cross stitch kits. They're all unbranded. I have 2 of the pictures here listed. And we'll go ahead and get the other 2 as we go through the video. Let's go ahead and get started on these reviews. The first kit that we have up today is a geisha stamped cross stitch kit. It is unbranded. I will go ahead and zoom in so you guys can take a closer look at the image here. I picked this kit for my stash. All the kits that I'll be reviewing for a while will be from my stash as I just started my YouTube channel. The majority of my kits came from overseas or Amazon. So what I'll allow you to do is go ahead and freeze here so you can take a snapshot or a screenshot of this image. You just go into Google, drop this image into Google, and I'm sure it'll show you where you could probably buy this kit. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out now so we can take an overall review of the kit. It comes with this pattern here. So if you want to be able to use it in case you spill something on it, here is the legend. And I believe this one will match on the actual kit itself. I'll compare here in a moment. There is the image on here. I don't really use these on stamped kits. I more or less use these on the counted kits. But I mean, they do come in handy in case you accidentally spill something or you can't read a symbol clearly on the canvas. You can use this as a reference. I know that's what a lot of us do. It's printed on that like high glossy photo paper. So it's not regular paper. It's essentially thermal printed. This kit is an 11 count kit. And here is our canvas. It is a 46 by 66 clearly. It states right here, 46 by 66. But she is a pretty big canvas as you can see. So here's the bottom all the way to the top. And overall, I feel that it's clearly printed. When looking at this, again, here's that picture. That's nice and clear. Sometimes they don't come this clear. I have a kit that's a one-piece kit. I won't be doing a review on it. I just stitch on it just because the image here is not very clear, so I don't have a picture like I do on the other ones. But as you can see, it is clearly printed on each square. Let's take a look at this key here, this legend. So again, cross stitch tells us what number on our card, the symbol on our canvas, and the DMC numbers. I like using the DMC because sometimes you'll run out, or in my instance, my daughter tends to get a hold of my things sometimes. So I'll just go to my backups colors that I have from other kits and just redo them. So let's take a look to see if the symbols match here on this legend compared to this legend. And yep, it is. It does match, which is nice when you're going and having to use a reference. So for example, here, let me go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see. Here, you see that it says 1 is that backslash color 150, and this one is a 1 backslash 150. So there it is right there, 1/150. So the nice thing is, the only difference is on this one is, the nice thing, like I said, is they match. But on here, if you look, it gives you an actual color. So this shows you the color of the floss on the card. This particular canvas, I find on the unbranded ones, they tend to not serge the edges. The quality of the canvas is that of those from like Joy Sunday or any of the other ones. They just don't serge the edges, unfortunately, and sometimes they cut them a little uneven. But as long as you have enough on the edge, so if you want to frame it, that's good. This does come with 2 needles, and I'll be taking those out and adding those to my little needle collection. And it looks like it is 260 stitches by 170 stitches. So there's that 250. And then that very bottom one is 260. And there is that 170 right there. And again, look at how clear those symbols are on those squares. Let's go ahead and take a look at our flosses. I don't mind unbranded kits. I have never really had any issues with, like I said, the only problem that you do have that I would see as an issue for some people is that lack of serged edging. The only thing with lack of serged edging is it could lead to fraying. I haven't had that issue. And sometimes your floss will get stuck on these edges as you're pulling and stitching sometimes. This particular canvas is pretty rough, but if you work it in hand, I feel like this would crumple very easily. As you can see, it's already starting to. So I don't see an issue with this becoming softer over time with you working on it. Now let's look at the threads. I picked this image just because of the colors, to be honest with you. Look at all these pretty colors here. Let's go ahead and zoom back out so you can get an overall. Look at all those pretty colors. So this does have 26 colors in it, and these are all full cross stitch, no back stitch. So, or should I say full stitches. There are no back stitching on this particular canvas, and I love when a canvas doesn't have back stitching, to be honest with you, simply because it's the bane of my existence. I'll do it towards the end, or I'll get a couple of canvases that have back stitching and do them all in one day as a day of back stitching for myself. But look at these pretty pinks and these purples here. And then, of course, we got this lovely hank of white, which it tells you right here, which is 3865. That typically will be our color here. They'll put a little bit on the card sometimes, and then if it's too much for the card number, they'll give you a hank or a skein. This is called a hank. And this is going to be that 3865. Let's take a look to see how much of that 3865 is here. So it's yellow, the yellow on the canvas. So all of this yellow is going to be that 3865. So I could see how they would require a hank, especially in this area right here. Okay. Now, when we look at the floss, I always try to take a look at the quality of the floss, because sometimes, depending on the kits, it will start fraying, but on this particular one, it does not look like it will fray. I also pre-treat my strings with wax as I'm stitching, but I'm actually looking really forward to start this stitch as a stitch with me, just because of the colors. Again, look at those pinks. This one's really pretty, these colors, these ones right here. And then these purples. Again, I love stitches with lots of color or patterns with a lot of color. I love landscape. It really depends on my mood, to be 100% honest with you. All of my kits that I've gotten so far, I prefer these cards. I will never take these off and put them on the little bobbins, the plastic bobbins that come for DMCs and threads. I prefer these just because you can take one thread off at a time, and it's easy and I don't have to worry about it. And they hold up fairly well. They're pretty thick. This one doesn't have anything particular on it, so what I would end up doing is I'm gonna go ahead, because this is my first time, you're gonna laugh. I've had this in my stash for a while and I haven't reviewed it or anything. I'm actually gonna go ahead and write on here with a Sharpie this pattern number, just in case it gets misplaced, or again, my daughter gets into my stuff, or I accidentally forget to put it away back into its bag. I do prep all of my kits into its own bag when I start working on them, so give me a moment here. So if I would recommend any time that you get a kit and it's not listed on the actual card, I write it on there. So that way, if there's ever an error or anything like that, we have the threads with the correct kit. So there's my tip of the day and our little review. Let's go ahead and put this one away, and then we'll move on to the next one. I have 3 more for you. Next up is our Korean folklore dancer. This one really intrigued me because of the colors. I thought she was really pretty. I love traditional style, like geishas, kisangs, folklore dancers. I just find that their outfits are very pretty. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and leave this here, move my hand out of the picture. If you want to take a screenshot of it, drop it into Google Images and see if maybe you can find this pattern. This one is an unbranded pattern that we'll be reviewing again. I find a lot of the non-copyrighted type stuff will be unbranded. I've noticed on a lot of my kits that I have. You might not be able to find this one because when I did go into Google, it sent me to Pinterest where it's a watercolor painting, I guess it is. So I'll go ahead and zoom back out so we can go ahead and take an overall look at this kit. It does come, like all other stamped cross stitch kits, with a paper copy of the pattern on that high glossy photo paper. Gotta love that glossy photo paper. Shows up wonderfully when we're imaging, or when we're not imaging, when we're recording, as you can see. Reflects pretty well our lighting. The back side, the front side, because it is like a matte, it's not so bad. Here is the image that you will be stitching as well on here. Again, there's that legend with the number, the symbol, the DMC color, and the actual color of the threads. I find these to be a little bit challenging because it is gridded, right? It is gridded, but then you have to look on the actual stamped kit within that grid. So between 80 and 90, you would look and then go down, which again, I only use these when I'm doing a counted kit. This one I would only use if I need clarification on a symbol on the canvas, or as you're stitching along, sometimes one symbol can get essentially bogged down by the threads around it. So I would use my paper pattern for that in that instance. Let's take a look at the canvas. And this one, I'm gonna assume that I got these from the same place because it's just like the kit before it. It is listed down there. It's a 48 by 63. This is an 11 count as well. I prefer 11 counts. I won't go no higher than a 16. If it's an 18 count, I'm using a magnifying lens just because I am getting older. My eyesight is going a little bit, and I have had LASIK surgery in the past. So I prefer anywhere between an 11 and 16 count. If it's a 9 count, I just really liked the image and I wanted to stitch it. So very rarely will you see a 9 count, but if you do, it's because I really liked the image. But this one is an 11 count. And again, it's a 48 by 63. It is 170 stitches by looks like about 235. So there's the 230 mark, and then halfway down would be about 235, I would say it. If you ever want to know like how many stitches it's going to be, you can go ahead and take the length times the width. So the length times the width. So the 170 by 235, that's if it's a full stamped cross stitch. The kit before this was full. This one's a partial, as you can see. It's only this particular image, because if you see all this white in through here, there's nothing there. There's no symbols. So that tells me it's only this image here, which is nice. So this is a partial kit. Let's go ahead and take a look at these symbols. And they look very nicely printed. For me, it's the quality of the print and the quality of the canvas and thread that make a difference on a stamped kit. If any of those three things are off, it's not going to turn out well. You're going to have a decent product, but it's not going to be one that you're going to want to frame. You're going to be like, okay, it's done. Let's go ahead and just move on. But those symbols are very clearly printed. It looks like they're right on the square there. Beautiful. This kit does come with 2 needles. One thing you'll learn when you start buying kits is you are going to collect needles. I was working on a kit last night, and again, I'm the type of person that I stamp really, like, I'll push my needles pretty hard, so I tend to break a lot of needles. I'm by no means a gentle stitcher, and I broke a needle last night, so I am never in a shortage of needles. I will sometimes even buy extras just to have them. This kit is also not serged edging, but it gave us enough on the edge, if this turns out to be a good product, for me to put in a frame. And I'll probably give this one to my daughter as well, or I'll probably hang it up in my house once it's done. It is a stiff, as you can see. It's very stiff. But if you work it, let's see, it does soften up as you look at that. See, look at how soft it got already. Overall, I think this one will be an easy stitch. The quality of it is good. Like most of my kits that I had in my stash, I didn't pay more than like $10 for. The only time that I paid more than $10 for a kit is if it's a large one, and I do have quite a few of those in my stash, as I will be going through my stash and doing reviews on the quality of the kits and the branding of my kits. You will be able to see those. Again, I'm going to be doing about 4 reviews a week until I get through my stash. I do have orders pending. So if I have orders coming in, those videos will have like a link in where I got those from. But until then, it's pretty much what I have currently in my stash that I haven't even began to work or opened or looked at, to be honest. This was one of those kits. I loved the image and I just put it into my storage bins, and I was like, "Oh, well, when I get to it, I'll look at it and look at the quality of it." But it's actually a really good quality. I'm looking forward to starting this stitch here in the upcoming week. I think I have her planned for this week for a stitch with me. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at my recording schedule. But again, look at how clear that is. And look at how clear those symbols are. This particular kit has 27 colors. So a lot of the cheaper brands or the brands from overseas will have a lower count of thread, and that's okay. Sometimes too much color, too much combination of colors of threads can be mundane for a beginner or somebody that just likes to stitch. I do have a couple of complex kits that I ordered that are coming in the mail that I'm looking forward to. So again, there's that legend and 27 colors. So let's go ahead and fold our canvas back up, and we'll take a look at our threads next. And again, this one really caught my eye, as you could tell in the image, of all the beautiful colors. Just look at all these pretty colors. She's going to be so pretty when she's done. So colors 1 through 18, and then 19 through 26. Let me go ahead and put these all out. There's those colors. Lots of pretty springtime colors. I'll be honest with you, I would stitch this any time of the year, not just in spring, but it's a perfect piece if you wanted a spring piece. And if you like traditional style dresses. And again, she's a Korean folklore dancer. Sometimes you can look it up under Kisang. Yeah. There you go. My favorites on this one will probably have to be these two colors here. And those two colors are what's those? 2 and 3. 2 is number 208, so this one is 208. And then 3 is 602. So these two colors I think are absolutely beautiful. This one does not have it labeled again, so I'm just going to take a quick second and put the canvas number on here. Like I said, I got these kits. I opened them up real quick, took a look at them, made sure that all the contents were there, but I didn't really go into depth with them when I bought them, hence why there's no number on there. Let's take a look at the quality of the threads. So here we go, my friends. Again, none of that fuzziness or that peeling, because when you do have a stiffer canvas, sometimes these can peel. So if you don't have wax, I would highly recommend getting wax just to do one light coat over it. It protects your thread as it's going through those holes, and they lay nice and flat and pretty. Again, this is the Korean folklore dance. I'll put that image back up for you. And I'll go ahead and zoom in one last time for you. There you go. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that one and drop it into the image. And if you can't find this one, I'm sorry. I did try to look myself. The other ones I know for a fact will lead you to a website or one of the overseas sites to order, but this particular one I was not able to find, and ahead of time I'm so sorry about that. So that wraps it up for the Korean folklore dancer. Let's go ahead and move into our next kit. Next up is this unbranded fairy image. I do apologize if it's a little bit blurry, but we can kind of get the gist of what it looks like. I'm laying it flat because I don't have a small card like I do with the other ones. This is the paper pattern image. So if you remotely like what it looks like, you can go ahead and drop this image into Google again, and it does pull some images that are similar to this. I think I got this one from Biggest Craft. Let me take a look. I'm going to go ahead and pause real fast to see if I can look it up. If so, then I'll do a zoom in on my phone. One moment. All right, there's that image on my phone. This was ordered from Biggest Craft. However, it is no longer available. That's how long I've had this kit. Kind of funny, right? But I know that you can drop this image into Google Images and it'll take you to other sellers that have that. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this so we can go ahead and move on to the next one, next part of this review. All right, now we're back to this part of the review again. So this does not come with a little image card. That's why I had to show you what was on my phone. This is the paper pattern to this particular kit. It is on, again, that high glossy photo paper, and this side's thermal printed matte. This is an 11 count, and it's 213 by 321 stitch is what it says here. And this paper pattern is pretty big, in all honesty. If you look here, it has each individual one box. So this is a full coverage, as you can see. Nothing too spectacular. This key legend here is going to be the same just because it is unbranded. It does have the number. There you go. Get a little bit clearer for you. It does have the number that will be on your floss card, the symbol the DMC, and then the actual colors. This is pretty small on this particular sheet. If you're new, it tells you about the types of knots and stitches, kind of like the Joy Sunday projects or the Joy Sunday kits. As I get into those projects a little bit more, I do have some in my stash that I'll be reviewing as well. We'll go over that. Next, I'm going to go over the canvas with you. Let me put that aside. I'm going to zoom back out here. And here's the canvas. The difference between this one and my other unbranded ones is this one is serged. It is serged on the edges. Sometimes you'll get these little hangies on the end. And it has the same information, the kit number right here. I'll probably be marking that on the cards next, if I remember correctly. This canvas looks like probably like a 50 by 70. Let me take a quick measure here for you just to give you confirmation. I do keep this handy when I'm filming because sometimes it doesn't tell you what it is. So let's see, we have, that was close. The canvas itself is a 54 by an 80, 54 by 80 canvas. It is a full stitch, as we'll be able to see here. Full stitch, full, not full canvas, not a partial. It takes up pretty much my whole camera space here. It's pretty big. Let's take a look at these symbols. Again, this is my first time really inspecting this canvas. One thing about when you go to the overseas sites, like our biggest craft is if you see an image that is unbranded and it's like not by Joy Sunday or Fairy Brand or Mona Lisa or Classical Cross Stitch, snatch that image up because it's probably going to come off the website relatively quickly, as I've learned. Let's take a look at these symbols here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. They are nice and clear. Look at that. Right inside the boxes. I love when symbols are clear. As I've mentioned in my reviews before, it can make all the difference while you're stitching. There's nothing worse than you trying to guess what a symbol is while you're stitching. I try to stitch with full natural daylight bulbs. It just makes it easier. It does look like there's going to be relatively some decent confetti. I'll go ahead and zoom in on this section for you. Just all that confetti in there. So with this canvas, I'll probably, when I get to this area, I'll do what's called the parking method with my stitching, just because it'll be easier. This type of stitching is going to take a while. So this canvas is probably going to take me a while to complete. So this might be on my rotation of stitches with me, just so we can kind of get an idea. Again, all this confetti in through here. So overall, the quality of this canvas is nice. I do not see any needles that came with this canvas, and I don't see a place where they came with it. So I must not have taken them out. Let me take a look. Yeah, this canvas never came with any needles, as you can see. Normally there you'll see like an indent on the canvas where they were, and I don't see any indents on this one. So this one was probably one of my cheaper canvases just because it didn't come with needles. And this is why we like to keep extra ones sometimes, right? So overall, this canvas is, I mean, it's pretty stiff. Looks like it's easily going to be pliable. Okay. All right, let's move on to our thread. Okay, so first and foremost, here are some hanks. of color, which tells me this is going to be a lot of the same color over and over into this image. Here are some skeins. So there's these ones. Very pretty. I love, that's one thing I love about diamond arting and cross stitching is just the colors, the color combinations on some of these images, how they come up with the keys on them. So these are, let's see, 797, which is, I'm grabbing the key real fast so I can take a look at it. 797. That is symbol 20. That's this one right here, 797. This one is 820. This one's symbol 23. And if you can see, I'm looking at the numbers right here. I'll zoom in so you can take a look at that. See right there, 823. So that one's 823. That's where I'm getting the numbers from. And then these ones are the same. That one's 160. So that's where I'm getting the numbers from on those particular threads. And then I'm just matching those numbers up on my legend here. And again, this legend is the same as the canvas. And this is where I'm getting those numbers from. These numbers right here. Right down, right, the third row. Right there. Yep. Okay. Hope that makes sense. If not, feel free to ask for clarification in the comment box. Okay, we're going to move on to the actual cards because just like all the other ones, it has cards. This one came with 2 full racks of cards. This does have 42 colors, which honestly is a pretty decent amount of threads. This one is kind of funny that they just took the skein and put it on there. So when I'm ready to work this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I did it to number, I think it was 17. I don't remember which one it was. I did it and I already cut it for the video, but as you can see, there's no canvas number on here. So give me a moment. I'm going to write this on here real fast. It's canvas number 541. Oops. And 541. Okay, let's take a look at these colors here. This is color 1 through 16 on this side. So let's take a look at those colors. There's a lot of blues and grays. Well, given the image, I would hope so. That purple's really pretty. Okay, and then this is 17 through 32 on this side. 17 through 32. Look at this pretty turquoise color. 32. That's a pretty color. Let's see, 32 is 3765. That's a very pretty color. Okay, that's the first card. And then the second card is 33 through 42. Okay, and there's those colors. Let's go ahead and take a look at the quality of the threads here. Let's pick this color. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in so we can take a look at the quality of these threads. All right, looks pretty good. No fuzzies, no peeling. Overall, looks pretty nice. We'll put it against the back of this card so we can take a better look. There we go. Not too bad. Overall, again, for the price of the kit, the thread is of good quality. Again, let's zoom out and take a look at all the thread that's included. Look at all this, guys. Look at all that thread. Jeez Louise. Yeah, that's going to take up a lot of space in my little whip bag. I do have more of my whip bags coming. I'll do a review and a haul video on my products as they come in of cross stitch accessories. But this is the beautiful fairy. I'm going to call her a fairy because in her image she does have pointed ears, or an elf. So fairy, elf, you can be both, right? All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Let me get this thread out of the way. Let me go ahead and put this image up for you one last time. I'll do a zoom in for you. If you want to try to screenshot this and maybe get it someplace else, there you go. All right. We'll wrap up this review here, and then we'll move on to our fourth and final one. All right, friends, we're on to our fourth and final review. This one does have a photo card, as you can see. It's an unbranded kit. I just call her a butterfly anime girl. She has butterflies. She's a girl. It works for me. If it works for you, I'll go ahead and keep my hands out of the frame. If you want to go ahead and screenshot this one, I got this one from Biggest Craft as well. It is no longer available, just like my previous one. Again, when you see those kits on there, go ahead and just snatch them up if they're within your budget, because they rotate out their inventory so frequently. So go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and move on into the actual review of the canvas and this string, or should I say the floss, and the pattern in itself. Okay, let's see. So it looks like it comes with the instructions separate, which is nice. It's not printed on that high gloss photo paper as the instructions as the previous kits had. I always encourage any new beginners, or even if you're not a beginner, sometimes, I'll be honest, I don't do French knots very often, so I always have to double check what I'm doing sometimes. And this paper pattern is pretty small. As you can see, here's my hand, my arm. It looks like it's on an 8 by 10 sheet of paper, maybe a little bit larger. This is an 11 count. Again, my favorite type of canvas to stitch on. It does look like there is 35 colors total. I'll go ahead and zoom in on this pattern for you so you can kind of get an idea of what we're working with. Here is the key here. Okay. And it is, as you can see here, the numbers, the symbols, the DMC color, and then the actual colors. And there's a total of 35, as you can see. It is, let's see, I'll go ahead and zoom out so you guys can see. It is a 40 by 50 canvas. And it's weird because some of them, as you could tell on the other ones, like it was by the stitch. This one is clearly not by the stitch because, as you can see right here, there's no way that's, so it's about 145 by 190. Okay. So looks pretty decent, not too bad. You can see the butterfly here. I remember when I very first started doing stamped kits, I, for some reason, had this idea that on the stamped kit, this design here would look like this design. So when I first opened it, I was a little dumbfounded that this image wasn't on here until I realized it was because of the symbols. Yeah, a little ditzy, I know, but that's okay. It was all new to me. I believe all of us probably make some sort of assumption when we're first starting this project. So there's the image. She's printed on there. I love that it's nice and clear. There we go. Here is the symbols. Let's take a look at our symbols here. Okay, I'm just going to fold it. Let's look. How about here? They're printed right within the boxes, nice and crisp. Doesn't seem to be off very. It doesn't, no, looks pretty, because there's one box right there and it's printed right in between. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the key. All right, here is that legend there. Nice and large for people like me that are needing to squint a little bit more and use glasses. Okay. Yep, nice and clear. The edges on this one are not serged. So you just got to be careful with fraying, because if you can see, it's already starting to here. That just means it was cut a little bit weird. This one is actually a little bit softer than the other ones that I have for unbranded kits. So this one's going to be able to be broken in a little bit quicker. So let's take a look. I already have my handy dandy Sharpie out because I know I'm going to need to mark the cards like I have had on the rest of my unbranded kits. Again, let's take one last look at this canvas. And it is a 40 by 50 centimeter. Okay. And what is it? H141 is the code. All right, let's get into the floss. It is a full coverage. If you couldn't tell, let's go over what a full and a partial is again. It's from edge to edge. Every single box within this canvas is going to be stitched. As you can see, every single box. There you go. All the way down. Every box. So this is a full, not a partial, which is kind of surprising with how much color there is. There is no back stitch on this, but it is a smaller canvas, a 40 by 50, and there's this much thread, which, as you can see, it's a lot of those blues that are in there. So here is your 1 on this side and through 18 on this side. Let's take a look at those colors. 1 through 18. Beautiful. Lots of blues. That's what caught my eye, was the design and all the blues in this particular one. And then this one is, let's see, 19 through 35. Okay, and then let's take a look at those colors. They're really pretty. I think this one's pretty. It's like a sky blue, I would say. This one's color 32, which is 3766. That one's a pretty color. This one is too. So 31 is, let's see, 3760. This one's going to be fun to stitch. There's a lot of pretty colors in this one. Let's take a look at the stitches themselves, or the threads themselves. Okay, let's move stuff out of the way. And we'll zoom in so we can take a look. Not too bad. Let's take a look. There's no fuzzies. Pretty nice and clean. Not too bad. I think we all know in the stitching community, DMC floss is top notch. But when you get that eco-friendly cotton, it's a hit or miss sometimes. I've come across, in all of the kits that I've done, was one kit, and it's one that I'm actually currently working on. The floss is just, I have to keep it super waxed for it to not get all peely on me. So as you can see, there's nothing on this card. So let me go ahead and write this canvas number down again. Okay. And this is this beautiful butterfly anime pattern. I feel like this review was relatively fast because there's not much to cover with her, because there's not a lot of floss. The canvas isn't very big. Okay, there's that beautiful pattern again. I'll go ahead and zoom in for you. Go ahead and take a snapshot of that picture and that image to see where you can buy her on any of the other websites. And that will wrap up this 4 of 4 review. All right, friends, that concludes this week's of reviews of stamped cross-stitch kits out of my current stash. If you liked what you saw here, please click that like, subscribe, and comment which kit was your favorite one out of these ones that I've shown today. If you don't subscribe, please go ahead, and I would love to have you part of this lovely little community. For my subscribers, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I do have an Instagram as well as a TikTok. That's where I'll go ahead and be posting progress pictures, little sneak peeks of the projects that are going to go live for the week, stuff like that. My Instagram is stitching_with_Steph. And then on my next part of my video, my TikTok QR code will be there. So if you want to follow me there, it's going to be Stitching with Steph, just like my handler is here. Again, thank you for coming in and stopping by today and watching this review with me. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.